Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to the first one of these that I've done in a while. For those of you who didn't used to follow my blog on, I think it was MySpace. God, it's forever ago. I used to do a weekly blog called Joshua Hunter's Bedtime Stories, where I would just talk about whatever aggravated me during the day, as far as nerd stuff or movie stuff or just what's going on with me. So I decided, as much as I like blogging, podcasting, it's a little more near and dear to my heart. Once the website does launch here and towards we get closer to the end of the year, I will definitely start blogging again, and I'll share all that information with you guys as it comes. But I want to do just a brief bedtime story. I'll be doing these, pardon me, every couple weeks, just kind of rounding up what I wanted to talk about. And so I got a couple things I want to talk about. Nothing too crazy, I don't think, but we'll see. So first and foremost, I want to talk about DC Comics. DC, from a TV standpoint, I am way behind on Arrow, so no one spoiled anything for me. But I think Arrow, from what I've seen, is actually a pretty damn good show. I'm working my way through season 1, and oh my god, is it a grind? It's so slow. But I see that it can definitely pick up. Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. was super slow season 1, so hey, I understand. The Flash is fantastic. I think The Flash is great. So if you're not watching The Flash, you should be. The big thing DC really needs to work on is with their films. So obviously with Batman v Superman, and I still hate that title. Why can't you just call it versus Superman? But anyways, with that movie coming out here soon, next year, but still soon, DC is looking to launch their own movie universe, which I think is great. I personally prefer the fact that Marvel has everything connected to their TV universe and movie universe. I think it's really jarring that DC has two separate universes for their stuff. I think it's a little weird, and especially with Gotham, which, if you haven't listened to Broadcast, I've mentioned on occasion, I cannot stand Gotham. I think it is horrendous. But with that said, we have a Supergirl show coming to the air by the end of the year, this fall, which I think is fantastic, because if you haven't seen the Supergirl movie from, I believe it was like 88, it's a piece of shit. It is a terrible movie. And so with some people going like, oh man, this movie's gonna suck, or the show's gonna suck, it can't be worse than the movie. And to be perfectly honest with you, it can't be worse than Smallville, because I never thought Smallville was good. But again, personal opinion. What is pissing me off about this a little bit, and as I get in this here, so the girl they picked is, oh my gosh, I have her name here. It's, I'm not even try her last name, Melissa Benoist, I believe is how you say it. I think it's a great casting choice. When they had, I think it was season 4 or 5, whatever, of Glee, she was on there, and she was actually one of the few good new people that they actually added. So I actually like her as an actress. The costume, okay, let me get into the costume. So I'm actually looking at it as I'm talking to you guys. I like the costume, except for one huge thing. It was the same problem I have with Man of Steel. The colors are way too muted. I don't understand why DC keeps doing this shit. It bothers me to no end. Superman's colors have notoriously have been usually very bright and vibrant, and yet this is like dulled down. And it might work for something like The Flash, but for Supergirl, I think it's a really, really bad call. Second off, okay, I like the boots. I'm liking the tights with and everything. I love the way the costume looks. It looks very like modern. It's not super like, I mean, it's kind of form fitting, but not in a way that it looks like scandalous. Which brings me to my biggest problem. I have been reading comments like crazy from nerds that are losing their goddamn minds over the suit, because they're like, there's no midriff. Why is there no midriff? Why does she look like why is she not like? Why is she not looking like she does in the comics? It bugs me to no end, and that tends to be most nerds' problem with the costume is that it's not showing the midriff. So she's not looking like a stripper. Therefore, you guys have a problem with it. And like I said, I think another thing that people don't get. This is the first costume, and it's my biggest problem that nerds, because I think most nerds that are casual nerds aren't actual nerds, like they haven't read the comics and stuff like that, they're very short-sighted, and I think that they just see what's in front of them and aren't thinking ahead, so they lose their fucking minds. With this, I'm like, okay, this won't be her last costume. They'll make modifications to it, I guarantee you, and yet everyone's losing their minds. The other thing that I'm finding really offensive is that people are saying she's not cute enough to play Supergirl. That's insane. She's an absolutely gorgeous girl, and she's a really good actress. I think this will definitely be her proving ground to see if she can pull off Kara. But I think she'll do a great job with it. But everyone is just like, oh, she's not like some bimbo. Like, you'd probably rather have Megan Fox playing her. So if you're a casual nerd, and I'm just gonna tell you right now, shut the fuck up until you see what is actually put on the screen. We haven't seen her in the costume. We haven't seen her flying around. We haven't seen her playing Kara yet. And so you guys are already losing your shit over something that hasn't happened yet. So, pardon me. Calm the fuck down. Relax. It'll be okay. We haven't even seen the pilot yet. If you see the pilot and then you're still having problems with the costume, I might take your criticisms into consideration. But until then, seriously, shut up. Alright, so that was the first thing I wanted to get out of the way. I'm very happy that actually went through as simple as it did. The second thing that I am so pumped for is Deadpool. I am so ready for a Deadpool movie. Fox is doing it, which admittedly gave me cause for concern, because the last time I saw Deadpool was in X-Men Origins Wolverine, and that always makes me, even hearing the words X-Men Origins Wolverine in order like that, just makes my skin just crawl. I hate X-Men Origins so much. It actually might be my least favorite comic book movie of all time. It's right up there with Elektra. I hate that movie so much. So when I heard, hey, Fox is doing a Deadpool movie, I got worried, as did, I'm sure, most comic book fans. But we got a review of the costume. If you haven't seen the costume, pause me and go look up that costume, or actually keep me on. You can do both. The costume looks incredible. It might be, and obviously we haven't seen it in action yet, but it might be the most accurate depiction of a straight from comic books to movie transfer that I've seen for a comic book movie. Because let's face it, most of the comic book movies make tweaks here and there. This looks straight out of the comic book. Like, I'm actually surprised at how accurate it is. And we've got Ryan Reynolds playing playing Wade. I mean, what more do you want? And in case you haven't heard, it's going to be a rated R Deadpool movie. Now, if you haven't YouTubed it, in this case you would need to pause me. If you YouTube Ryan Reynolds on Extra, I'm sure it'll pop up. They confirmed the R rating through this hilarious little skit. I'm ready for this movie. I'm so ready for Deadpool. It comes out next February, which means while all those terrible romantic comedies are out, just flooding the precious theaters with smut and terrible bullshit, I'm sure it'll have Katherine Heigl in it. We'll get a great Deadpool movie, hopefully. This is shaping up to be exactly what I want. It's rated R. It's got Ryan Reynolds in it. He clearly loves the character because he's had to jump through an ungodly amount of hoops, I'm sure, to even get this made. So I'm so ready for this Deadpool movie. It's going to be absolutely fantastic. Definitely support this. I can't wait to see it. I'm sure we'll get an official trailer here probably in the next 3 months, I would probably say. But this looks fantastic. I mean, just from the way they're marketing it, I'm already just so giddy for this. Which brings me to the very last thing I actually want to talk about, And for the record, normally these will be longer, but there were a couple movies that I wanted to watch as well. So, this brings me to the rumor that Spider-Man will not be Peter Parker. In case you guys didn't know, Sony and Marvel have reached an agreement where, because Sony didn't really have a fucking choice, because the last Spider-Man movie did pretty well, at least overall, but commercially and with fans were like, this is bullshit. We want a better Spider-Man movie. We deserve a better Spider-Man movie, which we do, by the way. So with that said, they actually reached out to Marvel, reached some sort of agreement so that Spider-Man can appear in Marvel movies, and Marvel will consult, specifically Kevin Feige will consult with Sony execs on building Spider-Man's own new universe, and including him in Marvel's universe, which is great. The big rumor is that he's going to appear in a Marvel movie before he appears in his own movie in July 2017. The big thing is there's really not a whole lot that comes out for Marvel between then and now. There's Ant-Man, which he won't be in. There's Age of Ultron, of course. And there's Captain America Civil War, and Doctor Strange. Really not a whole lot of options, so the logical guess would be that Spider-Man is going to be a part of Civil War. We don't have casting on Spider-Man yet. We have no idea who the hell it's going to be. But the biggest rumor is that it's going to be Miles Morales instead of Peter Parker. Hasn't been confirmed, but that's the rumor. Now, before I address this brings me back to what I said about Supergirl. How all these casual nerds lost their shit because she wasn't showing midriff. She's not a blonde, which hair dye, she'll be a blonde. You know, just all these little nitpicky things. And it brings me to the whole thing that I was always laughing about when people give Harry Potter fans shit about how this was missing from the movie, that was in the book, this was missing. And I never gave Harry Potter fans shit because I was like, comic book fans are as bad, if not worse, than Harry Potter fans were when those movies were out. Whenever something is tweaked or changed, comic book fans lose their shit before actually taking a step back and being like, this might be good. This is my whole deal with Spider-Man. There have been 5 Spider-Man movies. They've all featured Peter Parker. Spider-Man as himself has been around for 50 years with Peter Parker. It might be time for a change. And with Miles Morales, if you haven't read any of the Miles Morales comics, by the way, that makes your argument even more invalid. It's some of the best Spider-Man shit they've had in 10 years. And if you've read, I want to say it's A Brand New Day, where they pretty much negate Peter Parker being married to Mary Jane. Believe me, a half Hispanic, half black Spider-Man is not the craziest thing that they've done. I won't even spoil the comic for you, but just look it up. See how they negate Mary Jane being married to Peter Parker. It's delightful. Guys, you hear me. Listen to me when I tell you this. It's okay for change. Change is needed. 4 or 5 years ago, it might not have even been that long, in X-Men comics, they had a gay wedding, and I remember the same thing. All these conservatives lost their goddamn minds. When these comics were originally created, they were created back in, typically 30s, 40s, 50s, and it fit the era of the time. It fit because it was mostly, buff white guys with straw jawlines who were saving people. We're at a point now where our country is more diverse than it's ever been. So now we have, we have gay characters, we have straight characters, we have black, white, Hispanic, Korean. There's I want to say it's a Korean Batgirl right now. There's all these different sorts of characters, and yet people are just so unwilling to be accepting or even give the shit a chance. And to those people, I say, change is coming. Hell, change is here. You need to understand that stuff is going to change, and honestly, it could change for the better. We have a all-female Avengers roster right now with Marvel, which I think is fucking amazing, and yet I don't think people are taking it nearly seriously or giving it the credit that it should have. Diversifying comics is good. you can't keep reading the same thing over and over again because you'll get stagnant in it. So will writers. This is a good thing. So with Supergirl changing, us having stuff like Agent Carter, where we're actually having like female driven stories where they're not just a damsel in distress, this is all good shit. This is stuff that we need because this keeps things not only fresh, but it keeps things interesting. So we need this. So if we get Peter Parker, I'm going to be happy. If we get a new Peter Parker, fantastic. If we get Miles Morales, I'll be happy with that as well. But you guys need to stop being so dismissive because let's face it, 3 years ago, none of us thought that Spider-Man would be anywhere close to Marvel Studios at any point. Let's face it, none of us thought that. And yet now we actually have a chance where we're going to get to see Spider-Man interact with Iron Man and Thor and Cap. And you guys are going to just overlook that fact and get so stuck up on the fact it might not be Peter Parker. You guys need to be happy with what you got and stop being so fucking whiny. Because honestly, as a true nerd before this shit was even quote cool now, it really insults all of us who are actual nerds. So just so you know, stop being so nitpicky. Be happy with the fact that we have something like this. So before I start ranting and yelling, that's going to be it for the first bedtime story. That's all I've got. Go ahead and please, like I said, I'll be having these every 2 weeks. So please subscribe. Let me know what you'd like to hear me talk about. If there's any news story that pops up that just makes you go like, wow, Hunter needs to talk about that, please write on our SoundCloud, soundcloud.com/therealpineapple775, and like us on Facebook at facebook.com/therealpineapple. We always love to hear from you guys. Thank you so much, and you guys have a good one. Happy Easter.